Juan never imagined he'd be forced to flee his home country. But after political protests swept through Nicaragua last year, Juan started receiving threats because of his work at a local university. Fearing for his family's safety, Juan took his wife and young son and headed north. Even now, he's afraid to reveal his identity.
At first we thought about the United States, but we started to think about Guatemala, El Salvador and Mexico. You don't hear anything good about these countries, but in the end we opted for Guatemala as we heard it was better than Mexico.
As Mexico and the United States crack down on undocumented migrants, more Central Americans like Juan are filing for asylum in Guatemala. Guatemala has never been a country where foreigners have asked for protection. In fact, over the past couple of decades, only around 20 people per year have been granted asylum. But now that's starting to change. And in this area alone, since the start of the year, 35 people have requested asylum. It's a trend that experts say is sure to continue. On Friday, Guatemala signed an agreement with the United States to become a safe third country, a place where migrants en route to the U.S. would have to stop and apply for asylum. Donald Trump forced the deal through by threatening to tax remittances and impose tariffs on Guatemalan goods. Guatemalan civil society groups have already filed legal motions to have the agreement blocked. People who work with refugees in Guatemala say the country is ill-prepared to deal with an influx of asylum seekers.
People seeking refuge in Guatemala have a really tough time. They have trouble finding work, housing, schooling for their children, and access to health care. The situation here for Guatemalans is precarious. For people from other countries, it's much more difficult.
Armando fled his native El Salvador after being shot 3 times by a teenager demanding $10,000 in extortion payments. For years, he supported his special needs daughter by working odd jobs before meeting Deborah and starting the asylum process.
The application process is really slow. It's really tiring. I know people who have been waiting for more than 15 months to get a definitive answer. That's more than a year without access to employment or anything. We're going through a crisis.
Carving out a better life in Guatemala won't be easy, but a growing number of refugees say they're left with little choice. David Mercer, Al Jazeera, in Western Guatemala.